What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and today we're looking at a shoe that had two variations, is a version of a very familiar and popular silhouette, was not easy to get anywhere around the globe except for in North America, and will have you wondering, does Kanye not know how to spell Landmark? We are looking at the ever so coveted Yeezy 350 V2 in the Lundmark colorway. The Yeezy 350 V2 Lundmark released in a reflective and a non-reflective version, and the one you're looking at right now on my feet is of the non-reflective variety. The reflective version of these released in severely limited quantities on Thursday, July 11th, 2019, and the non-reflective version released in larger, more attainable quantities on Saturday, July 13th. The shoe itself is largely unchanged from recent Yeezy 350 V2 offerings, but there is a big modification, which I'm not sure why they did, but we'll get into that in a bit. Before we do, feel free to follow me on Instagram to keep up with the Pics fam and for fire sneaker content. Now, I said earlier that these were not easy to get outside of North America. Well, that was intentional on Adidas' part because these were regional exclusives locked to the continent of North America, which means they only released in American, Canadian, and Mexican stores. And although this was the case, they're actually going for a decent price in the aftermarket, so if you want them, I'll leave a link in the description for you to get them. That doesn't mean Adidas neglected other areas of the world, because they gave Asia, Middle East, and Africa the Yeezy 350 V2 Synth, and Europe got the Yeezy 350 V2 in the Antlia colorway. Now, I don't know what most of these colorway names mean, but Synth is definitely the coolest one out of the three, probably because it's the one I'm most familiar with, possibly the short form for synthetic or synthesizer, or a term used to refer to synths, that instrument that can be programmed to play any type of sound imaginable. Let's not get into what Lund means in my language. All my South Asian viewers, you know what's up. There's a little NSFW. Nevertheless, I've never experienced a more jam-packed timeline of Yeezy releases the way I have in the last couple of months. From the original regionally locked Yeezy releases such as the Clay, Trueform, and Hyperspace to the Yeezy 350 V2 Pirate Blacks to now these three regionally locked exclusives along with their reflective counterparts. Yeezy did not stop to take a breather in between any of these releases. Keeping in mind the non-reflective release of this shoe also dropped in kids and infant sizes, it seems like the Yeezy lineup of sneakers is fully intending on expanding as far as they possibly can. And before we get into more of that, let's quickly get into the materials. If you're familiar with the new Yeezy 350 V2 or the V2 of the V2, if that makes sense, most of this will be no surprise to you. The entire upper is made of interweaving shades of prime knit, so to me, the Lundmark looks like a mix of gray and the slightest light yellow shade known to man. And once again, we have these asymmetric patches of prime knit going across the sides and on the toe box. The shoe has this cross stitch running through the middle from the toe to the tongue. The shoe has speckled gray and the world's slightest yellow shade laces that are actually the only reflective thing on this shoe. We have this slightly yellowish translucent stripe that you can only fully see through about 30% of. The rest is obstructed by other materials underlaying the shoe, creating this Swiss cheese look at the toe box portion of the stripe. Now, if you follow the stripe through the back of the shoe, you probably get this odd feeling like something isn't where it should be, right? Yeah, so remember when I said the shoe is mostly the same except for a big modification? Well, this is it. The modification was in fact a removal, and they surgically removed the pull tab from the Yeezy 350 V2 release. Now, I'm not sure why they did this. I personally am a fan of the pull tab, not just for looks, but it actually makes the shoe easier to put on, obviously. And if you think back to when the Yeezy 350 V2 first released, the OG Beluga colorway released without a pull tab, and eventually with the Zebra release, they started bringing out 350s with the pull tab on them again, and had continued to do so up until this release. Why they removed it is anybody's guess. If you have the answers, even if you're sway, let me know in the comments because I can't think of any other reason for why they would do that. Moving on, we have the also familiar Rib 350 midsole. The midsole of this shoe has that light bone cream look to it, kind of like what you'd see on the Butters or the Hyperspace. And my favorite part of the shoe is the lighter than gum outsole that kind of feels like a skin tone, which grosses me out on a low level, but I like the light feel of this outsole and just the overall light feel of the shoe itself. Now, I might have mentioned in the past that I've sort of been fatigued on the whole Yeezy 350 silhouette and that it's something I might have grown out of. I mean, I haven't worn a Yeezy 350 once all summer and that hasn't changed. I have them sitting in their boxes ready for a day when I might come back to them, but for now I'm really not a 350 guy, and I attribute this partially to the fact that Kanye is releasing too many 350s that feel like the colorways are too similar to previous releases. Mind you, I don't think he's releasing too many Yeezy 350s. The more the merrier as far as that goes. I just think some colorways are too similar. But with that being said, I'm shocked and surprised at just how much I like these on feet. At first glance, I thought, what's so special about these? And being a guy with pretty wild colored shoes, you'd think these would be an easy pass. But what you don't know is, I've actually been on a mission to introduce more neutral colored shoes to the lineup. And you know what? These fit the bill perfectly. They're at that sweet spot between being neutral and having a hint of color to add interest. I mean, if you're gonna spend $300 Canadian before tax on a shoe, you still want it to stand out a bit, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of people complain about Yeezys being released in colorways too similar, being a shade or two off from the previous, and they're not wrong. I mean, from being called the dirty statics to a mix between the butters and sesames, this Lundmark pair has gotten its fair share of similar criticism, but maybe there's a method to the madness, or dullness in this case. Maybe it allows for Kanye and Adidas to fully flesh out the 350 in every color and tone possible that literally appeases anyone and everyone's choice of color, shade, or tone. My theory is that Kanye and Adidas want to give every region their own version of a certain color palette. For example, the Asian, Middle East, Africa pair, the Yeezy 350 V2 Synth, looks like a different shade of the clay colorway that was exclusive to North America. And the Lundmark looks like another shade of the Hyperspace that released exclusively in Asia, Middle East, and Africa, etc. So technically we have our own version of the Hyperspace too. I know it's a bit of a reach, but it's late and it's the only thing I can really think of right now. Maybe when Kanye said everybody will get Yeezys, he also meant everybody will get the Yeezys that they want. This man really is for the people. Kanye 2020, let's go! Okay, all kidding aside, on to the more important aspects at hand. When it comes to comfort, these shoes are amazing, great for casual wear. The Boost midsole will have you feeling like $1,000,000. The soft prime knit upper is just supportive and hugging enough to give you a good feel while keeping it breathable and relaxed at the same time. One thing I always notice about Yeezy 350s though is there's no such thing as heel support here, so expect the wearing experience to be more similar to a pair of unbelievably comfortable slides than something that would support your ankle area. When it comes to sizing, I went true to size as I always do, and they fit great, just the way I like them. I've heard the same from many people. I've also heard people going half a size up, so if you're one of those, do that. If you're not sure what your size is, go find a friend to try on their pair or something. There are a lot of pairs in this world now. You probably find someone somewhere, or you can always go half up as a safe bet, but it's really up to you. With that being said, I am truly and surprisingly a fan of these Lundmarks. If you want them, I'll leave a link in the description once again. They're the perfect mix of not too loud, but still making a statement. And of course, combined with world-class comfort, it's a win-win-win situation. What did you guys think about the shoe? Will the Lundmark leave a mark on your feet, or will you overlook it? Let me know in the comments. Catch you later. Pixelated is about to mark his territory.